so over the past 45 years, manufacturing just absolutely devastating. Look at that. This is where we were in 1979. Almost 20 million workers in manufacturing. Now it's down to 12.7 million. Now, here's the thing. This decline became even more acute after 2001. That's when China was admitted into the World Trade Organization. And that right there is when the downside even got worse. Of course, it was allowed these sort of special carve-outs. By the way, those carve-outs still exist. They still consider China to be, quote-unquote, an emerging market. Since then, of course, manufacturing output has soared in China, the red line, and stagnated here. At the center of all of this, folks, is steel, right? We know it's the building block of modern societies. It's how we defend ourselves. And our next guest is the owner of a steel fabrication plant in Baltimore. He says the great equalizer, it's finally coming. So let's bring in Marlin Steel CEO Drew Greenblatt. And Drew, you recently told an audience that it's Sandtown versus Shanghai. Explain.
That's exactly right. I'm all in on America. We only make in America in Indiana, Michigan, and Baltimore. 4 miles north of where I'm standing right now is in Baltimore, is a section of our town called Sandtown. It's blighted. They've been pummeled by the economy. It's not right. We want to help them. We want to create jobs so impoverished people can have the middle class lifestyle of manufacturing. And we want to help Sandtown, not Shanghai. And you nailed it with your opening introduction there. When we make a basket in America, for example, this basket made in Baltimore City, this is a Marlin basket. When we ship it to China, we have to pay a $13,728 duty to ship it, for the privilege to ship it to China. When they ship it, the same basket to Baltimore or to America, they only have to pay $8,445. That's not right. That's $5,200 difference that hurts the poor guys in Sandtown, in Baltimore. We want to hire more people in Baltimore, more people in Indiana, more people in Michigan. It's actually even worse with Germany. If we ship this basket, this stainless steel basket, we call it an expanded metal basket, if we ship it to Germany, it's $12,896 in customs duties. That's outrageous. Why? Because if the Germans ship it to here to Baltimore, it's $125.
Right.
When you wonder why we went from 20 million employees in America that are doing manufacturing down to 12, that's the reason. We made it so unfair to our poor American workers. I want to double the size of Marlin, hire more people, bring people into the middle class.
You know, it's amazing, Drew. I mean, I love the way you laid that out. And one of the things I thought is that we had a grand epiphany, right? Our sort of hat in hand begging during COVID-19. Now, think about this. We're waiting on peers, and we're hoping that stuff arrives that we created in this country, we thought about, we invented, and still we had to wait for it to come on boats from China. I thought maybe that would have changed enough minds, and still there's a lot of resistance out there, particularly from the establishment. Do they have it so good that the status quo is okay for them despite hurting Americans?
You nailed it. You know, in the middle of COVID, China stopped shipping IV poles to America because they wanted to keep the IV poles in China. Guess what? We stepped in, our factory in Baltimore learned how to make IV poles, and our biggest 2 years ever were in the COVID year 2020 and 2021, and then into 2022, making these IV poles, stepping in. Well, guess what happened? As soon as China started shipping the IV poles back, a lot of American companies went back to China because it was so cheap.
Right.
But they're forgetting, in China, they despoil the environment. They use labor that's in concentration camps. They subsidize the steel. They subsidize the labor. They subsidize the exports. We don't get those kinds of subsidies here in America.
Right. Hey, Drew,
So
let me jump in for 1 second, my friend, because we're running out of time. But I want to ask you another part of this, because this is where we get some pushback. Why some people say we should have open borders. The Chamber of Commerce is saying that we're about 600,000 manufacturing job openings that are yet to be filled. And so you wonder what happens, because we're not training those folks. Where does it fall in society? Schools, businesses? Because President Trump, he's cutting these contracts every day to bring these factories back. Do we have the workers here, American workers, to get them up and running on day one?
That's absolutely a challenge. It's going to be, we're going to have to like bring baristas that are not getting health insurance and not getting any kind of vacation and good benefits. We're going to have to introduce them to manufacturing and people in, more menial jobs.
Right.
The average American factory worker is getting paid 80 grand a year average. This is an extraordinarily wonderful avocation, very clean, interesting, and you could really thrive and create a middle class with this. So I think we're going to have to shift from the service sector, restaurants, baristas, housekeeping, to more lucrative manufacturing opportunities.
I love it. Drew, thank you so much. Really appreciate you.